Okay, there's one more thing about his childhood. His father had brought this family back from relative obscurity. The first Benedict Arnold in America, going back to the 1630s and the 1640s, ended up being the governor of Rhode Island. But the family begins a descent through time. Property is subdivided. Various Benedicts in the future don't do well, and so the family is on the financial skids until Arnold's father, Benedict IV, turns that all around before he loses his way because of alcohol. But in the process, his father, in raising Benedict, taught him to have great pride in the Arnold name. He encouraged him to become like his great-great-grandfather, Benedict I, to become a person of consequence. In the process of being sensitive to the Arnold name, to not let people insult your name. You too must be a gentleman. You must be a person of virtue. You must be of service. But you must also respect, in return for that service, that people will respect you in turn. And that's going to be a very, very important part of the story of Benedict Arnold. Because he's not going to compromise with people who, as I guess I could say, would mess around with his name. For instance, in one of his trading adventures into the West Indies, he fought a duel with another trader. This particular trader insulted Arnold because Arnold wouldn't attend some social occasion. And he called his name into question. Arnold called him out, and in the custom of the day, dueling is part of the gentleman's custom. If you're insulted, you can invite someone to duel it out with you, literally to the death. It's a very elaborate process, and it's more commonplace than perhaps we realize going on among gentlemen in the 18th century. And so he didn't mess with Arnold's name. And so these are key characteristics: the matter of honor, the matter of arbitrary power, and let me add one more. It goes back to these so-called Arnold tales. In the 1770s, someone, well-known individual who was in the Continental Congress, Dr. Benjamin Rush, was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. And Benjamin Rush said, "Tell me about your childhood." It's about the only recorded specific comment we have where Arnold actually talked about his childhood. And he said, well, there really wasn't much to it. And he said, basically, I would describe myself as a coward until my middle teenage years, 15 or 16, and then I had to become a man. And what he was really saying was, I wasn't doing the cannon stuff. I wasn't spreading glass. I was just an ordinary kid. And when my father lost his way, I had to step up. I was the surviving son, and there was one surviving daughter. I was the surviving son. I, in essence, had to become the head of the household. And that's what I went off, and that's when I went to the Layford Brothers. That's when I became a businessman. And that's when I had to get over my cowardice as an individual and stand up for myself, stand up for my name, and stand up against arbitrary power. My father's downfall forced me into the process of growing up and becoming an adult. That's what the historical record says. So I'm trying to compare that, obviously, with these various tales about Arnold in his dissolute youth, if I can put it that way. In fact, those tales, if you look at it this way, are backward through the prism of treason. Well, we need to explain what happened here, so obviously he had character flaws. But in reality, we don't live our lives backward. We actually live them, amazingly enough, forward. I know what happened yesterday. I know what's going on now, but I can't be sure what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. The same is true for every living human being. Arnold had no idea that he would turn against the American cause in 1780 when he was growing up in the 1740s and the 1750s.